Hello, everybody. I am making this message today because it's time. I've held back. I have really tried to just move on with my life and stay out of it, but it is actually my responsibility to make this video. So, hello, my name is Alexandra Troy. Formerly, my birth name was Taylor Alexandra Gatta. And I am recovering from a horrible, terrible cult that I left about a year and a half ago. And I want to make this video for any women who want guidance or support on getting out of this group, or who felt something and they just need to put words to it. I'm letting you know that the woman known as Perri Chase is a very dangerous person spiritually. She's dangerous spiritually. It's not the words, it's not the language. I don't want you guys to get caught up in that. It's the energy. The energy of this woman is dangerous, okay? Now, as some background, I have like a history of family, like really, really bad, like pre-verbal family trauma. I was a perfect victim, like really perfect victim, because I'm also deeply spiritual. I'm a deep seeker. I am like interested in the deepest level of shadow work I can do. And so the fact that I'm making this video should tell people a lot. Like, I've done a lot of work. So this woman is going to frame what I'm saying as I didn't get through the program. I'm jealous. I'm trying to take, you know what I mean? She's going to create a story. Okay. I'm telling you guys, and I'm letting you know, I know because I was in the group. So, as a pre-frame to this thing, I think there's a lot of women out there who've wanted to say something that have been afraid of getting sued, afraid of someone coming after them, because this woman has a big team and she has a lot of money. But I am going to risk that all because I love you all and I want you to have tools right now. So there were a lot of reasons why I would consider this spiritual abuse. One is that, and this is the thing about abuse, and I'm figuring it out, is like, I thought that I needed to change and I needed to grow, and the things that were being done were done in favor of and of service to my life. And what I ended up experiencing was deep levels of humiliation in public settings, the defamation of my name in those groups, because we're talking about thousands of women being live in front of thousands of women, favoritism and pitting women against each other and pitting people against each other, control over who I can speak to in the group, based on her agenda and her keeping face and how she's seen. And the entire time I paid her close to $50,000 a week. I could go back, but it's about $12,000 a month over 2.5 years, and then before that about $10,000. So, you know, like, yeah, and then there were like many different in between events. So like I'm guessing around 50,000. Now, again, I really want to phrase this because I'm a teacher and I'm a guide. Okay. There is such a thing as shadow work, and there is such thing as doing deeper work, and there is such thing as unraveling your patterns and clearing your karma, and all of these things are real. But the way that this person does them or the way she thinks she does them is not the way that she does them. And this was a really important time for me because I've come to really recognize how much I actually know and how I allowed authority to dictate my reality. And so there were a lot of things that happened in this group, and specifically the triangulation of people against each other. The fact that we as women were discouraged from building relationships and community with each other, even though it was a community. The fact that I was charged for this group, even when I had been punished and taken out of the group for a situation that was frankly a misunderstanding based on her projection and her fear and her anger. So basically, I was the scapegoat of this group for 3.5 years. I'm sure since I've left, there's another scapegoat in the group who feels exhausted, tired, is losing everything financially, is wondering when things are going to change, is wondering when they're not going to be poor anymore because this woman's taking all their money. So being in this group has the worst energy you probably ever experienced, disguised as like the most powerful, but it's very dysregulating. The field is very dysregulating. And the reason that her energetic field is dysregulating is because it's supposed to shake you out of your nervous system and out of your consciousness level so that you can be hijacked spiritually. She also works with the female body, and so that's how she harvests energy. I will say that it fractured me, and it created a relationship with my body where I felt like my body belonged to someone else. I also believe that based on this lineage of women, that there is a guru energy. And I think it's important to talk about guru energy because it's a very specific lineage whenever you come from India or some sort of Tibetan. I mean, there's groups and people who create dynamics where there's a top-down dynamic, and it's spiritual. It's like it's almost like an ancestral energy, but it's within the lineage of a spiritual group. So I actually there's an entity within this group that feeds off of it. And that's why you feel dysregulated in the group. I'm giving my spiritual explanation, take it as it feels like true, right? But the biggest thing too is that truth is something you can feel in your body. But anyone who doesn't guide you to access the truth in your body and who consistently punishes you, and doesn't guide you to the deeper truth of why you have the patterns you have, that's spiritual abuse. Now, on top of this, I worked with other coaches and paid them thousands of dollars to abuse me. So not only did this woman give me this particular energy, but also the women that worked with her. Now, some of these women have come out. Some of these women have taken down their businesses because they know that it's out of alignment and out of integrity. And they would rather literally lose financially than participate in the dynamics that this woman teaches as a business owner. We're not just talking about her business. I'm talking about what she's teaching to other people. So you have to understand that, it's a darkness and it's a virus that you have to take out of your system. And it took me months. It took me my husband being able to bring me back. Because if it weren't for him, I would have completely and totally still been giving her my energy after years and years and years. So this is what she does. She hooks into your field. She siphons off of you. She may give you energy and attention, but it's only for her agenda. She creates dynamics to protect herself. She creates all kinds of people. And she even put someone who is trauma in, a trauma teacher who is the best of the best, in her group. And even then, she didn't want that woman to have that much power. When she started getting demonized, she took that woman out of power. So anyone who questions her authority or circular. On top of that, when there were people that left this group, it was a they-them dynamic, which it was like if I talked to this person, I was abandoning the feminine and abandoning the group and abandoning truth and all this shit. When I just really wanted to connect with my friends, during this time, I had the most dysfunctional relationship with women I've ever had. The way that I was perceived and the way I perceived myself created a very distorted dynamic where women started blaming me and thinking it was me, and it ruined my relationships with them. So the only thing I came out of this group with was anxiety, fear, self-hatred. At one point, I felt so much shame and guilt in the group that I shaved my head. And I thought it was, again, like a spiritual sacrifice, a ceremony. In reality, I was being spiritually tortured, and I was self-punishing and self-flagellating. I lost some really important people to me in this group, people who I still am disconnected from, but I still care about a lot. And yeah, there are so many things that I experienced during this time that it took me months to realize that it's not normal, not even normal. It's not grounded, embodied, or regulated to feel what I felt in that group and after that group. That was not healing. That was a hijacking of my already traumatized nervous system. And the fear and the shame and the power that's woven in while this woman simultaneously says, you can't make someone else feel shame. You can't make someone else feel shame. You can't take someone's power. Yeah, you motherfucking can. If someone's in your group and they feel shame all of the time, you're fucking up. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. If there's someone who has severe trauma in your group and you treat them like a fucking horrible, like, worm, yeah, that's your responsibility. Now, this idea that you can't take someone's power, yeah, you motherfucking can. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what all of history is about? You think you can't take someone's spiritual power? What do you think witchcraft is? Witchcraft doesn't require candles. Witchcraft doesn't require a fucking pot of boiling water or with all kinds of herbs and spices in it. You can do witchcraft with your motherfucking energy alone. Now let's talk about the feminine. Because this bitch thinks she has claimed the feminine. And by the way, there have been people who have been way kinder than me who have come out about this, way more gentle. So this is like years and years of stalling for me. What is the feminine? Okay. Let me tell you guys something. A woman who's out there like that and her man is somewhere in the fucking background, really, really fucking far away, does not embody the feminine. Is not someone you should learn the feminine from. If your man is not around in your business and involved in any way, there's a fucking problem. So regardless of what people motherfucking say, look at their actions, look at their relationships. If they don't show you their relationship, it's kind of the same as like ogling your relationship when you can't fucking see someone's husband ever. Like, I'm sorry, there's so many women out there right now who are like, I'm in love with this man. Okay, like, he doesn't seem to be part of your life. Just saying. That's not always true, but I see it a lot. I also want to talk about this relationship with the masculine. Something that this woman said in one of her groups that I've still to this day, again, red flag, is that the masculine body is not sacred. Specifically, the genitals are not sacred. But the feminine is. The feminine's sacred and like so, oh my God, just so big and bright and luminous. But the masculine is whatever. The masculine genitals are sacred, just like the feminine genitals are. And anyone who teaches you they aren't, does not understand sexual energy, does not understand power, does not understand creation, does not understand. It doesn't matter. I can see it. I can see it in your life. So I believe that this woman saw me. I do. I think she saw me spiritually. And I think she used me. I think she used my power to generate her own field. And I became weak. If you look at pictures of me from that time, I look sick. And I also was dealing with a home-related issue with gas and mold, and she told me that I was faking it. That I was doing it for attention. That's a like really big thing to accuse someone of who's sick. Like, that was so demeaning. And I questioned myself, I questioned myself this whole time. After I left the group, I had such bad anxiety. I couldn't be alone. I couldn't be in the dark. I felt that everything I had was because of her. And because I didn't have her approval anymore, that I had lost my power. I just went into a really deep, dark hole for a year and lost everything. And frankly, I gave everything to her because I believed that she was this person. I lost my reputation in my own physical community and online. I was basically, because it's a cult, all of the women who I'd been friends with, only one of them who had already left the group contacted me, but all of them basically I didn't talk to. Whether I was abandoned or not, regardless, none of these women reached out to anymore. We were not connected. Which, when you're in a small group, you're in a small group. I mean, you get tight-knit, you get connected, and when you leave, it's, you're not connected anymore. But there's something really specific about that shame and guilt. And if I've been in your field for 3.5 years and I leave feeling that, there's a problem with the group. And the fact that we all participated, and when we saw women leave, I didn't listen to them. I didn't listen to anything they had to say because it would challenge the narrative. And so when I finally left and I got to feel that separation and I got to feel that like 1.5 years of resolution, took me a long time to reclaim my power, because when you give people money and you let them tell you what to do, and you take in everything they're saying, you take in their energy, that's power. I'm sorry. It's so fucking stupid that anyone would say that's not power. And for you to reject that power, like while simultaneously telling us all to be responsible for our power, is incredible hypocrisy. By the way, people have shared this with her at least 4 or 5 times. The fact that I have to do this says that this woman doesn't actually take the spiritual realm seriously. She doesn't respect the spiritual realm, and thus she doesn't respect the feminine, because the feminine is the unseen. I don't believe she knows what the feminine is. I don't think she knows what the feminine is. Now let's talk about the weight stuff, okay? Because it's actually not personal. It's not like, you know what I mean? If anyone is really, really obese, it's probably because they have an entity. And the bigger they are, the bigger the entity is. So if you see someone who's obese, who's teaching, you should probably run, because they're just feeding that energy spiritually. Again, people have told this woman, so I'm not nothing shocking, but you guys need to know this, okay? Truth comes to light. The truth eventually comes out. This is what she would call, in her work, a Mack truck moment. You don't know who I am. And that's the thing. When you have hubris and you have ego, you don't understand that person who you have demeaned and abused will eventually grow up spiritually. And I have a lot of experience on my back because of who I'm with and because of the work we've done together. So I know what this is, and I've known what it is for a while, but it took me getting through deep amounts of shame, deep amounts of guilt, deep amounts of self-hatred, which I had gone to the group to work through, by the way, because I felt that I hated myself. But really, that group further exacerbated that feeling. And what's really sad is that she's going to say this is all ego, and she's going to gaslight the whole fucking internet. But no one's going to believe her because there's just too many people now. There's too many of us. We outnumber you. So, listen, under Arizona code, this is legal for me to share. It's legal for me to share my feedback to a business. It's legal for me to share my experience and insight as a spiritual practitioner. It's actually my responsibility as a spiritual practitioner to share this with you. And it's really important that I share this because I'm ready to put this story to bed. Not that I won't tell the story again, but this is the closure I need. This is the closure of the women that the women on the internet need. So if you have recently left this group, it's most likely for about a year or a year and a half, you are going to go back and forth. You're going to go to demonization, and then you're going to go, and then if you work with a practitioner, you are going to be able to slowly unpack what is that spiritual energy, similar to a religious entity that you would find in a Christian religion. The Christian religion is full of them, but that's what this is. This is an egregore. By the way, she talks about egregores, but she took that body of work from someone named Joelle Adifon. But just so everyone knows who was teaching that on the internet originally was Joelle Adifon. Also, she takes the work from people who I have personally worked with because I clearly, by the way, the teacher who taught victim consciousness, Lynn, to look up her name, Lynn Forrest. I worked with a woman named Lynn Forrest who wrote Victim Consciousness. She also takes some of the work from her, and I feel like I have to say that because I feel like she distorts all of this information for her own agenda. And it's a way to, victim consciousness is a thing, okay, by the way. Being in perpetual victimhood is a thing. Not taking responsibility for yourself is a thing. But when there's real spiritual abuse going on, and when someone says, this is just victim consciousness, that's gaslighting. And to talk about being an expert of egregores and have one that's running your business is, I mean, it's almost poetic, really. So yeah, I believe that I had so much spiritual insight into this group, and my expertise was never listened to. There was one time where we had a facilitator in the group who I felt had very off energy, very dark, and I felt her energy reaching out to me and doing all kinds of weird shit. By the way, I don't do Reiki, and I don't believe any of that, and people who teach like high levels of Reiki, I just really don't touch. So she had one of those teachers in the group, and I spoke up. She didn't listen to me. She stopped me from talking to people who may have helped me get more information, to validate what I was feeling. While I was in the group, there was a lot of like psychic. This is interesting because it's like a lot of this is psychic. So there was an experience in the group. By the way, I'm breaking all these contracts when I share this. I'm sure it's in the contracts not to share any of this with you, because she rewrote her contract so many times, because she needed to protect herself because she was doing wrong things. And she will say that it is because of, wow, I'm still undoing a lot of shit. So she rewrote her contracts multiple times, and the reason she does that is because every time she does something wrong, she tries to protect herself more and more and more. But the truth is that there were just so many ways where she was avoiding responsibility and pegging it as being demonized. Like the internet was demonizing the feminine. Like, she is the full embodiment of the feminine, and the reason that the internet is demonizing her is because she is the embodiment of the feminine. But what people don't realize is that like feminine energy feels great to men and to the world. And yes, people will obviously try to harvest your energy and take from you and take your energy as a woman. But women are fully capable of doing that to other women, completely and totally. And actually, you're more likely as a woman to be psychologically or spiritually targeted because women are masters of the spiritual realm. So she's doing what she was supposed to do spiritually. But I really feel that she isn't listening to other spiritual practitioners, and she's claiming to run a spiritual group. I believe she's taken a lot of work from people who don't. She shares their work as her own, who left her group because of her abuse. Level group, and I know that at the time it made sense because it was supposed to be an uncertification. A lot of these certifications don't do anything for people, so the idea was that it was a medicine journey. So I think when you dismiss the masculine, which is like structure and certifications and things like that, I get it, but I now don't have anything to show for all that money I paid. And because of the nature in which I left, I don't even have access to any of these videos that I may even learn from. So she makes her community very hard to access if you're not in the group. I can't look at the old videos and where I was being physically abused or where I was being spiritually abused. By the way, I'll name off some other things. One of my first group calls, I was called annoying. Don't know why I was called annoying. Like I said, I was told I was lying about being poisoned in my home. I asked for a break from the group, and under the belief that based on what she had said previous interactions with other people is that we can come back. That was not true. I'm glad I didn't get back into the group, but there was not communication about what I was receiving from doing all of that work in her group. At a really big event, I was having a really intense psychic experience, which I experienced in her group a lot, where I would cry and sort of panic and have this panic cry, which again, I am learning that that's a sign, of like something's off if I'm having that experience at an event. She pinched me physically at the event while I was crying. And then when I stood up to speak, because other people were standing up to speak, and I spoke up because one of my dearest friends was on stage, and she was clearly picking on me by not allowing me to speak, and I stood up. She publicly, in front of all of those women, basically tried to break me. It's under this guise of like service, but it's a sort of spiritual breaking that I believe is, again, part of that guru lineage. Gurus break you spiritually, so you obey. And take over your whole psychic field so you can't trust yourself or believe anything that you're seeing. What's really violating is that I did think this person had my best interest. I did think they were my teacher. At one point, I compared them to Jesus Christ. But really, she was reflecting to me the things that I wanted. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be a powerful woman. So I gave my power and my agency over to her. Thankfully, now I am an actual powerful woman. I'm actually a woman who's reclaimed all my energy. And I'm in a sovereign, delicious, divine union relationship. I have a business. I have the building of a team. This experience of spiritual abuse, I believe, was an even deeper initiation into holding my own work, because I do work with the feminine body. I do what would be probably considered tantric practices with my partner, and we will be doing that with women. And I'm really excited for our work. We're going to be working with everyone. I'm really excited about our work, but it was really important that I share this origins of my story, because so often we think that it's like something that we did or we did wrong or we need to like recover. And when you get stuck in that loop for years, it's probably because you're being gaslit. And everyone's like, that's not the definition of gaslighting. It's like, when you question your own reality, that's gaslighting. And when you're told that that's not truth, because that's what's going to happen. Guaranteed, there's going to be a whole group of women who get together after this and talk about me. Hello. Amen. I'm sorry to the women that are still in this group. I'm really sorry that you were bamboozled, like me. And I'm sorry that I lost connection with you, because that was really important to me. But I hope you know this is a reclamation for me of my place, because I got put in a place that I didn't belong. I got put as the less than, pain in the ass, could not do anything right. And it turns out that I am going to be the person to out her. So you don't really know who you are in the story until you really get to know who you are. And then you find out that actually the whole time I was the feminine being abused and destroyed on the planet and taken advantage of. I was the one that was dismissed and silenced and burnt at the stake by another woman. So a lot of people are like, the patriarchy. And I'm just like, that you can experience that for women too, and you can experience that in a spiritual space too. Like, there's no one way it looks. So, thank you for everyone for listening, and I'll be sharing more soon.